Okay, hello and welcome everyone to another round of 32 Discord League Season 15 Cup. We have Daidoji Micah versus Coyotte, a crane versus crab matchup. And on the crane side we see Seeker of Void Cute Kakita with Dragon Splash, with a few interesting things such as formal invitation, I guess, but otherwise it's Ancient Masters, Let's Go, plays Yuri, doesn't play the guy that honors if you have the favor, but plays one censure. Nothing really strange. I will not make the same mistake about Yuri again, hopefully. Nothing really strange in this list. And the crab player is basically standard crab, but 41 conflict and 41 dynasty, because how are you gonna fit all the good stuff? Oh, 2 Way of the Crab, that's actually more than most people play. Spreading the Darkness. Alright, it's neat. We'll go straight into the game and see the opening flop here. So, not much. Let's see, 2 mulligans from Dynasty and 3 mulligans from Dynasty, and then 3 from Conflict and 2 from Conflict. So first turn we see Crab is first player and plays Borderlands Defender with 2 Fate. Safe. Standard. The Crab way. This still allows you to perhaps bait into a heavy expenditure from the Crane here, and then play the Envoy and then Way of the Crab, but the Crane player knows what's up, obviously, because it's Micah. Micah has a lot of experience. So just plays a Whisperer, and then Coyotte passes, gets passing fate. Question is if you're going to see something like Narishma here as well, or just play from hand. Yeah, we do see a Narishma. And a favorable ground. That's going to be useful. We noticed the last game earlier today. We had the favorable ground be perhaps the MVP card, stopping the Unicorn player from losing. Alright, so we go into the first conflict phase here. I imagine both players bid 5, and they do. Oh, and we do see Borderlands Defender attacking here. Now, this is pretty telling that there's, at minimum, a fight on in the Crab player's hand, which means the Crane player should probably... Oh no! That's a disaster. The Crab player, first conflict, political, hits Magistrate Station. Oh wow, that's like a nightmare scenario. Should not be happy about that at all, unfortunately. Alright, we do see a court games at least, so currently Voice of Honor is not online. Just gonna try and see if my chat on my phone is working. I'm just going to send something for myself. There we go. So we do see the Whisperer defend here, and here we go. Ornate Fan goes down on Borderlands Defender. He really doesn't want this to break. So a court game gets played into response to dishonor the Borderlands Defender. Makes sense. No longer breaking. Oh, this Magistrate Station, especially next to... Oh, and Coyotte is forced to pass. He doesn't break the Magistrate Station. I imagine from next turn on, Micah is just gonna get Uji in play and then just start rolling around over the Crab player. But he does get to remove the fate of Narishma, which could be big. Oh, and we don't see a Way of the Crane here first, which means Fight On is very much live if this attack goes off. And Micah hits Manicure Gardens. It's not too bad hit here. It's a pretty safe province. You give some economy to the crab player, but Micah passes. So he's not worried about... he's not really worried about breaking at this point. He knows he probably has to win condition live with a face-up Magistrate Station and a Uji showing. And currently favor is tied, so I guess I can just see... Oh, both... Oh. So this is a play to... I guess we're gonna see something like either a bonsai or even perhaps preferably a spreading the darkness on this skirmisher and just try and obliterate this Magistrate Station. Of course, but Magistrate Station can ready Nerishma. And he's going to have the opportunity to move Nerishma in with favorable grounds. Oh. Yeah, it's prior number 1 for the Crane player to keep Magistrate Station alive. This is just... it's just such a good province. Readying an honored character for the Crane, it's a fantastic province. Right, so we're gonna see a military earth, and I imagine Nerishma is going to get converted, and the first action is probably going to be to move it in through favorable grounds. Unless he actually forgets to... No, there we go. Nerishma is getting converted. So Nerishma is not allowed to attack, but he can be moved in by the favorable grounds here. Yep, first action favorable grounds. Nerishma is in the conflict. It's currently 4-1. And Coyotte passes, so this just means he basically gave away favor to Micah. That was a very free defense for Micah. Micah got a ring out of it. He now has 2 glory to 1 due to the 2-1 rings to 1 ring. And that is going to be a Crane player with 10 fate, afflict Magistrate Station, is showing Uji going into round 2. That's about as rough as a start as you can possibly have as the crab player in this situation. I think the Crane player is absolutely jubilant. Alright. Okay, of course, you do have to be slightly concerned about Way of the Crab, though. Slightly concerned about Way of the Crab. Yeah. Do you gamble playing Uji and hoping he sacrifices the Borderland Defender to kill it off? Or do you actually play the Nerishma first to try and dodge the Way of the Crab? Nope. Full on balls to the walls. Oh! Way of the Crab. Oh, and Censure! The one-off Censure! The one-off Censure comes in and saves the day. Oh man, I was wondering what Micah was doing, but obviously Micah knew exactly what he was doing. Oh, that is huge. Way of the Crab attempted. Way of the Crab thwarted by the one-off censure in the Crane player's deck. Oh. I'd be upset. I'd be a little bit upset as a crab player. Obviously, though, the way Micah played it, it was essentially baiting the way of the crab because he knew he didn't have to worry about it, but still. Alright, so 5 to 5-bit, and Micah also wonders why he pitched the Envoy. The Envoy would have been just perfect to cheaply buy and then use. Right, so currently no real honor. Is there anything better than an Envoy to buy, though? In all honesty, what are you trying to find? Quesada? Another Borderlands defender, I guess, but Envoy is just solid, especially if you have a Way of the Crab in hand. And, I mean, Coyotte does have a point. If he saw a Whisper or anything else small, it would have been useless. Oh my. Now the Crane economy is going to just crank up to 11. With 5 bits here, I imagine we're going to see a Way of the Crane on this Uji. Yep, there's the Way of the Crane. Uji is now online. And we already seen one skirmisher gone for the crab player, so... And we do see actually an instant buy of Nerishma. Oh, he might even try to find something... Oh, cheaper again. Okay, so he finds the second Toshimoko. I guess he doesn't actually want the Toshimoko to get discarded this turn, because I think he wants to just straight up buy him next turn and completely lock down this game. Oh, air. That is interesting. Is he... Ooh. Is air really the ring you want to go for here? I mean, it does have a fate on it, so I guess... I guess having one more fate is worth it. You go in air. None of the other rings really do anything for you that might be worth that one extra fate. And always having a bit of a honor buffer against Crab is good, because Crab can really turn on the thumb screws, so to say, on you, and make your life miserable once your honor drops low. Are we going to see a defense here from the Crab player?
Scare me. Oh boy.
And we do see a defense. The Borderlands defender comes in and defends. Interestingly, it's the Borderlands defender with the Ornate fan that defends. That sort of signals to me that there's a Mountain Does Not Fall about to be played. Otherwise, why defend with the Borderlands defender is actually good on political in the military conflict? So the question is here, does Micah have the voice of honor for it? Because Mountain Does Not Fall is max 1 per phase, I think. So he only gets the chance to play the 1. Is that a J-Tetsubo going down on the board? That's one-off J-Tips. I've always found J-Tetsubo being a very interesting card. It's been expensive, but it's also been quite useful. Now the question is, does Micah have one of the 3 let goes? Or is he just... Oh, he doesn't. He doesn't instantly let it go. So Banzai and pitch an honor to get one more. So now he's above in skill by 2. Actually, he's above in skill by 2, so he can now Tetsubo this Uji to hell and back, basically, or to Jigoku and back, I guess is the more appropriate term. Is it lower or equal? Lower skill, right. And now with the stronghold bowed, he's up by 1 again. So basically Micah is forced to have another fine katana, or I'm a bit surprised that this wasn't played first, because he potentially opened himself up to a situation where Coyotte could have had defend your honor here. Of course, then Micah might have had voice of honor to stop it, but yeah, it was an interesting situation. Also worth to note here is that Micah didn't actually break after all that, but I don't think he really cared. He forced the opponent to play some pretty crucial in one case expensive cards, and he had to do very little himself to get around it. Alright, so we do see Majesty Station being attacked, and it's a military conflict, and we do see Narishma defending, and this might be a situation where you just assassinate this Narishma, if you have assassinate as the crab player. We also know that the crab player only runs 1 Banzai and 1 Spreading the Darkness, so there's no really huge event buffs that can be used here from the crab player, because the Banzai is already gone, so he's either Spreading the Darkness or just toss on more katanas. Alright, so Watering is 1. Watering goes off, readying the Borderlands Defender. Minimum defense from the Crane player. Doesn't really care about the Watering right now. There's no keepers in the discard. Uji is now standing. Will there be an attack by Uji? Or will the Crane player play safe and try and defend the Crackback instead? He has a very expensive lineup right now that he really can't... I mean, he can buy 1 challenger with 0 fate just to defend if he so wishes. But that sounds perhaps not that great. So currently the Borderlands Defender is actually on 5 skills compared to Uji's 4. So if... Alright, so 5 with the favor. So if he attacks, he has to rely on Coyotte not having something like Court Games or another fan or Spyglass or whatever to get over him. And Micah chooses to pass his conflict, so he wants to just defend this attack from Coyotte instead. Because currently I don't see a point not attacking as the crab player. He's going to lose favor regardless. I mean, he might actually win favor if he's attacking. But if he doesn't attack, he's going to lose favor. He is first play next round, so he gets to choose which ring to have fate on. But... I mean, you might as well just try and go for Majesty Station here. Majesty Station is such a huge threat, it just has to go at some point. And Uji defends, so 5 to 5 skill, and currently the crab player is actually winning because of this. Do we see any tricks? Right, so we do see a Court Games come down and dishonor the Borderlands Defender. So also So court games gets played to re-honor the defender. Are we going to see a voice of honor? No. We're not going to see a voice of honor. I'm guessing those are getting saved for rebuilds or other impactful events. I think that's also one of the reasons why this Jay Tetsuo was held on for so long before Let Go, because he wants to save Let Go for reprieves. Because having a crab board die is just... Oh, it feels so good to actually force the crab players guys to leave the table rather than just stick around forever and ever and ever. Right, so Micah still gets the favor. There are 0 breaks to 0 breaks, but Crane economy is vastly superior at this point. Do you, Micah, pitch any... Maybe you pitch a challenger? Okay, so Ancient Master does get played. He doesn't want to get Uji crabbed. Which I can sympathize with. First player, he does get to play Ancient Master here and protect himself from getting crabbed. Smart play, smart play. Coyotte is sad about the whole thing. Makes me think he actually does have the way of the crab. Alright, so... I don't necessarily pitch anything here as Micah. You can... Oh, he pitches Toshimoko. I'm a bit surprised by this.
Oh boy.
I'm a bit surprised by pitching Toshimoko here. I think Toshimoko is a fantastic character to buy just to... I mean, do stuff with it. It's just you have formal invitation, right? So you attack with him, and then you formal invitation him into a political conflict that your opponent makes, and then you use his duel to not lose the political conflict. It's fantastic, but we do not see Toshimoko played. We do see Toshimoko tossed instead. We do see Micah finding Yuri and still has 2 challengers and a proving grounds. So if Micah can get some duels online, he can start to really grabbing cards here. And thanks so much for following, guys. I appreciate it. And we're still on 5 to 5 bid, which is interesting because the crab player is actually starting to drop pretty low on honor here. I guess 3 honor isn't too bad as a crab player because you kind of want to defend anyway. But oh, okay. So now here we go. We're definitely going to try and just bust open Magistrate Station here. This skirmish here is 100% going to convert Uji, and I imagine he's going to go in with both Skirmisher and Kisada. Perhaps even one of the Borderlands defense. That's a huge overcommit, but breaking Magistrate Station might be worth it. On the other hand, Micah can just buy a challenger into this conflict and then start doing stuff. But yeah, this skirmisher is big, is really big. Covert is huge in this situation. What can the Crane player do about this? So it is skirmisher and Kisada. He really just wants to bust that Magistrate Station. It is going to be a headache the longer the game goes on. And we do see it the firing as well, so even if he doesn't break it, he might perhaps counting on dishonoring Uji. and not having him just buy stuff cheaply, which would be pretty good. Now here's the question. Does Micah have any throwaway action that he can use? It doesn't appear to have a throwaway action on any character right now. He could of course buy Yuri and just do the action duel to waste Quesada, but that's probably more expensive than just playing a card. Playing any card to sort of stop this from breaking. Alright, so what more could we see here from the crab player? Katanas, obviously. I think he runs 2 or 3 katanas, and then one spreading the darkness is a possibility. Spreading the darkness would put him down to 5 honor though. That is starting to get into danger territory. And we see a ornate fan gets played on Quesada. That's interesting. That is super interesting. Am I missing something? Is Coyotte playing something like policy debate instead of rebuild? Surely not. Hello, Asterin. Welcome back. I'm actually super curious now. I'm gonna have a quick peek at the crab player's deck list, and what is the restricted list card? Charge. Huh. I missed that. That's big. And throwaway action here from the crane player include, I mean, quite a few. Oh, Gunbai. Oh, Gunbai is excellent to. Gunbai is excellent to waste Quesada actions. Alright, so for those that doesn't know, Gunbai is you use the action on Gunbai to initiate a duel, right? In order to use the action on Gunbai, you have to sort of like, in a paper game, reveal it and put it down on the table, right? I'm using the action on this card. But then Quesada stops that action, so because nothing else of the action happens, it goes back into your hand, and then the memory of that card is reset. So you can actually just Gunbai again straight after, just after you wasted Quesada's action, which is hugely annoying for Crab. Hugely annoying. Oh, hi Evan. Nice to see you around. Right, but we do see Yuri getting bought instead, and the action from Yuri getting used to burn Quesada action. So I imagine we're going to see some sort of other action here from... Oh, wow, okay. I am just a little bit baffled here by the fact that we see... So basically Coyotte here is desperately trying to... I guess defend himself from policy debate, and it looks like Micah is just desperately trying to activate policy debate. So I imagine this duelist training will get used to bow this skirmisher. And that will allow the challenger to get honored by way of Kyuden Kakita. And that means he's once again up in a situation where he can policy debate. Yeah, I was talking about the Gunbai. Gonbai. I don't know if the pronunciation is completely correct, but the Gunbai is an excellent card to burn Kisada's action. It works very similar to Fishboy. Oh wow, I actually forgot the real name for it. That's embarrassing. The Phoenix water creature that enters play for free during water conflict. We do see another formal invitation. Formal invitation is always nice once you have a duelist training attached anyway. That means that this challenger can attack and then gets formal invitation into a political conflict and then use her military might to just bow something. Ah! Feral Ningyu. Of course, that's the real name of that card. It momentarily escaped me. Thank you, Evan. I've just been around it being called Fishboy for so long that it's just Fishboy in my mind now. I blame you all. Alright, so this is a very interesting conflict by the sort of way that it's a military conflict being declared and they're basically just both players bolstering their political as much as they possibly can. And we do see a charge here for Hideyakamo, and imagine if there is a voice of honor that is going to have to get spent on this. Yeah, there's the voice of honor. And no defend your honor to counter the voice of honor. And here comes the policy debate. So he is up by 1. Challenger is up by 1 against Kisada. I would probably just bid 1 as the crab player here and hope that Micah just slams the 5 bid to win. Of course, Micah might also think that way, and then Micah would bid 1, and then you do bid 1 and you got nothing out of it. It's always a bit of a annoying ass mind game at this point, but Micah does reveal a bit of... Oh, I really like Coyotte's bid, right? Because Coyotte basically says, alright, I can't win if I bid 5. But if you think that I will punish you for guaranteeing to win the duel by bidding 1... I should bid 3 instead, so that if you bid 1, I actually win. I really like the bid from Coyotte. I think it's a good mix between honor punish and a sort of still showing the initiative to try and actually win the duel. I really like that bid. Of course, Mike just slams the 5 bid, guarantees the win. And he gets to see Cloud of Mine, Fight On, Fight On, Fight On, Fine Katana, Gaijin Costumes, Reprieve, Reprieve. And he chooses to get rid of the Fine Katana. And here we know that the crab player didn't actually find any of the cancels that they run, which is unfortunate for him. We do know he has 3 Fight On, so that's going to be rough. We also know that he can ready Kisada at will. And we do know he doesn't have another Talisman of the Sun. We do know he has double reprieve. Okay, so letting go the Talisman of the Sun here sort of like tells me that Micah is not really worried about reprieve this game at all. He thinks he can win before reprieve is going to be a problem. Or he realizes that I am being a bit thick and the crab player has 0 fate, so if he just goes the Earth Ring here, the crab player can't get any more fate. That could also very well be the case. And we do see the crab player eventually winning the conflict, but not breaking, so he uses the firing to dishonor the Daidoji challenger. I mean, yeah, Evan, you were probably correct that there was no way he was gonna bid 1, but I still like Coyotte's bid, because there's no point in slamming the 5 bid if you can't win it anyway. So you're trying to find sort of a situation where you can have sort of like a double punish. Either if Micah is really greedy and does bid 1, you still win. But if he's not really greedy and just goes for the guaranteed win, you still siphon some honor off from him. Alright, and here we do see Uji attacking into Manicured Gardens, which means that the crab player is going to get 1 fate. So he is going to be able to play a reprieve on this Borderlands defender if he so wishes, or he can use a fight on to put Kisado into this conflict. It's all up to him. So exactly what's in his hand right now: triple fight on, customs reprieve, and a Cloud of Mine. Okay, so Coyotte wins on defense, Majesty Station's ready Uji, so he's going to have a military attack, but he's going to also have a fight on to defend it with. And if he doesn't use the fight on, he can save the Borderlands defender with the Ornate Fan, which isn't too bad. So, alright, so we are going to see a Void conflict here. Oh, it's shameful. Oh, that's rough. It's not awful, but it's also a bit rough. I think you kind of have to defend with Kisada here, because you don't want Shameful broken. Not this cheaply. I do honestly think that Micah can still power through this conflict. Perhaps not break, but at least power through the conflict and win. Which would mean that if he fights on just to save Shameful, both the Borderlands defenders die. It's not a nice situation for Coyotte to be in. The worst crab matchup in the new meta, I still think it's probably Phoenix. I know the Crane matchup has improved a lot for Crane, but I think Phoenix is still a really bad matchup. Not really bad, but a kind of bad matchup for a crab. I think that the addition of some stuff like Gunbai has really helped Crane, because they want to do the duels anyway, and like turning off Kisada for free is honestly shouldn't be discounted. It's a really big thing. Oh yeah, Shooter has a very good point. Magistrate Station is the worst crab matchup. Yeah, if Crab does what Crab did in this situation and accidentally run into Magistrate Station in the first conflict of the game, you're gonna have a bad time. I think that's the difference, basically, that if Crab hits Magistrate Station, their win rate goes from like 60-40 to 40-60 instead. Especially if they can't find Karada district to start stealing all the juicy attachments from the Crane player. Oh, and he does expend the 1 fate on fight on, and it does get cancelled. A Kisada dupe gets discarded. The Borderlands defender loses a fate, and now 2 Borderlands defenders are going to die. Oh, that's a rough turn for a crab player here. A really rough turn. And we do know that the crab player doesn't even run rebuild, so there's just 2 reprieves in his hand that basically are the saves he has available reliably. And oh, yeah, this is perhaps not great. Having the shameful display broken for free is such a huge deal. Alright, and we do see, I mean, this is not a great crab flip here. He doesn't really have enough money to just play the Mystics for attachment control. Thinking of, if he plays Mystics, does he play... we're just gonna have a quick pick. He doesn't even play... Yeah, he does play Karada District. Of course he plays Karada District. Karada District is busted. And we only see a single Mystic played. Uji, of course, allows the Crane player to pass immediately and then still buy a Mystic. But we do see a Cloud of Mind go down on Uji. Does Micah have the last let go? He doesn't even need it. He can just use the Mystic to let go of the Cloud of Mind, obviously. I think that's worth it. Yeah, if he really needs Uji to do stuff, he can just use the Mystic to get rid of Cloud of Mind. Alright, so Challenger goes in on Managed Gardens. It's really starting to get some serious economy going here for the crab player. Having one extra fate each turn is nothing to be sniffed at. So this is going to be a political conflict with Challenger. Are we going to see Kisada join in and defend this? He has to be careful here with the order of operations of what actions he uses first. He could use the Challenger to just burn Kisada action, I guess. In a situation like this, it's not actually too bad to use the Challenger to burn a Kisada activation, because what are you going to do? You're actually going to pull in the Mystic? I don't think you care. So Coyotte doesn't seem to have quite figured out how he wants to defend this, but it looks like he's going to defend with Kisada. So Kisada defends with 4 against 6. Are we going to see the Challenger used here just to burn Kisada? I think it's worth it. Then we might see a policy debate again, just to honor the Challenger. Potentially. Alright, so Daidoji Challenger actually duels with Duelist training. Okay, so he wants to use the Challenger action to pull in the Mystic and force the Crab player to play a character from hand. Again, I think he only runs 4 conflict characters. Apologies to the viewers. I'm going to take a quick peek and see how many conflict characters the Crab player runs. He runs only 4 conflict characters, and we have seen both of the skirmishers, so he could have Wayfinders left. Alright, so Nerishma, Shiro Nerishma gets used. Not Nerishma, Shiro Nishiyama. The names are awful for me sometimes. And we do see a policy debate initiate, and we see a defend your honor to response. And I don't think Micah cares. I think he's just gonna bid 1 here and then use, Kyuden Kagita to honor the Challenger anyway. He doesn't really care about looking at Coyotte's hand. Oh, another policy debate. And the second, defend your honor. So another 1-to-1 bid. Policy debate gets tossed. And he doesn't get to look at the crab player's hand, but I think he's okay with this anyway. He wins the conflict. He gets to steal 1 honor. He gets to stand the Challenger up if he wishes. Otherwise, he's basically forcing the crab player to show, do you have any of the 2 conflict characters that's left in your deck? And it doesn't appear that he has. One thing to note also, that Coyotte has not played, and I assume because he has not played, he has not found a single Spyglass yet. And Spyglasses are huge in this matchup because it allows you to bid There we go. There's a Spyglass. Okay, he just didn't want to discard it by the Mia Mystic. Spyglass is basically what's going to be able to claw Coyotte back into this game. Just having a massive draw engine online, slowly outvaluing your opponent. Because right now, the Crane board is scary. Really scary. And we do know that the Crab player still has 2 Fight On and 2 Reprieve in his hand. So I'm guessing we're going to see 1 Fight On potentially cancelled here by a Voice of Honor. That would be the last Voice of Honor, I believe. Yes, that would be the last cancel in the game. So, Fight On. Kisada comes in. It does not get cancelled. Currently, Uji is actually breaking Manicured Gardens. Alright, Gossig gets played. Oh, and that's going to name Reprieve! Kisada is going to get discarded! Oh, wow. Gossig is going to name Reprieve. Then Uji is probably going to win this conflict. He's going to void off Kisada. And Kisada is going to go away. And that's one of the hugely valuable Spyglasses. And also one of the really valuable Ornate Fans gone from the Crab player. Oh man, that is rough. That is so rough. Oh yeah, and Coyotte recognizes this too. He knows the writing on the wall. This Kisada is going to get voided off. And a Crab with an empty board. Oh, a Crab with an empty board is a sad Crab. Question is Micah also going to add insult to injury here and break this province? That would be almost an unmitigated disaster here for Coyotte. Alright, so Mystic gets used to discard the Fine Katana on... What? I would have bought the Challenger here just to break. Am I being stupid? Or is it... Shouldn't I just buy the Challenger to break here? Maybe he was baiting the mountain. I don't know. It seems strange. I would definitely have gone for... I mean, it's a safe province to attack, but also in this situation where you're about to basically have the game in a box with a Crab with 2 Fate and an empty board, a Spyglass gone, Ornate Fan gone, no Skirmishers left, a Talisman of the Sun gone. I do not really agree with not pushing to win and break that. Crab just wants the game to drag on, after all. Do we have any keepers in the discard? Still no keepers in the discard. Wow, that is actually really interesting. So the Crab player just wants to survive until he starts finding like stuff like Karada District, so he can just start stealing stuff off the Crane player and gaining value turn after turn after turn. I would probably have liked just having a little bit more aggression here, putting the Challenger into that conflict. Just put 2 Fate or 3 Fate on it. He had 10 Fate. He had 10, and he buys it now. It makes little sense not to just buy it there and go for the break, in my opinion. Maybe I'm just way out of the loop in the Crane versus Crab matchup, but it feels like that probably would have been a decent enough option here, because then you just need to break one more and then you're a stronghold. Oh, Uji dupe, Kakita Dojo, another Mystic. Oh, this is pretty much gold for the Crane player. Oh, are we going to see a Way of the Crab here? Yes! We do see a Way of the Crab. And the voice cancels the Way of the Crab. Okay, maybe not what you actually wanted to voice, but now you can get 2 breaks this turn, pretty much guaranteed as the Crane player. Wow, Micah is so good at baiting the opponent into making. Yeah, I can see the spirit leaving Coyotte's eyes. I mean, I don't actually see Coyotte, but I can just imagine like all energy draining from him as that voice of honor counters the Way of the Crab. This is going to be an awful turn for the Crab player. Oh yeah, Micah is at least gracious in his victory. Even though it basically is Micah been kicking on Coyotte for the last 30 minutes. But, wow. Honestly, I don't fault Coyotte at all for giving up here. This turn is going to be more likely than not. First conflict, if he buys the Yakamo, it's just going to be, alright, I'm going to do a political conflict, dragging Yakamo. You're going to be bowed, I'm going to break. And if he buys something like the Witch Hunter and the Yasuki, okay, sure. He gets to defend, but it's still political conflict, drags in both, bows them out, readies, and then goes military. Yeah. It's 2 breaks from the Crane player this turn, and next turn the Crane player can probably just steamroll the stronghold regardless. I think you even buy Mystic here as the Crane player would like 2 Fate just to have guaranteed Mystic alive for a Talisman. So that seems to be it. It appears that Coyotte has actually conceded. The Crab player, in the face of the glorious Crane lineup, has decided to throw in the towel and go back to the wall. And yeah, it was basically once the Majesty Station got flipped turn 1, Micah played this as pretty much as perfectly as you possibly could. It was just a rough beating on the Crab player all the way through. It turns out having an Honored Uji and a Majesty Station is pretty good. And I think most of the time Coyotte made the right decisions trying for the Way of the Crabs in the situations where he did, because they were good Way of the Crabs had they gone through. It's just rough. Rough to be Crab at this point. Anyway, thank you so much everyone that's watched, and thank you so much everyone that followed. I'm going to close down the stream now, and I hope to see you next time. Take care.